been running for U.S. Senate, as well as an Occupy Wall Street activist, right? And we actually picked up someone who was actually a progressive socialist, Bernie Sanders supporting free speech lawyer.
I was hoping he would come. I had him on Facebook. He said he wanted to come.
Yeah, funny story, he was actually a friend of mine. We've been talking a lot. I've got a short little video from him. But
we don't have much time.
The amazing thing is that he says that if this goes unchallenged, this will represent the greatest erosion to our free speech rights in the last quarter century. So what they did very quickly was not only did they deny half of the speakers, they denied all of the participants, they denied all media. They tried to, the only reason we have a recording of it is someone had to sneak their cell phone in. Otherwise there would have been nothing that we would have as a record against this bias and this slander, right? So what they've essentially said is they understand that it's unconstitutional to deny the permit, right? But they've said we don't have to illegalize the speaker, we can illegalize the listener, right? So what does this mean? This means that, yes, so this precedence, if this goes unchallenged, they say, fine, Milo, you want to speak at a school? Fine, you can have a permit to speak, but we're going to bar the auditorium and not allow anyone in or out. You have the right to have a podcast, you can speak into the microphone, but we're going to shut down the website. We're not going to let you distribute it. This is a horrible precedent.
Citing security? Justification.
What?
What was the justification? Security?
Security, but there's actually something called a heckler's veto, right? It's very clear precedence in First Amendment law. It says if you have people who want to speak, and you have people who are using violence or the threats of violence to shut down that speech, you don't shut down the speech, you go arrest the people who are committing violence.
Especially at state-sponsored schools such as Berkeley, where the government pays for that.
Yeah. So this was clearly a heckler's veto. Shutting down the event early was a heckler's veto. Everything they did to try to deny the freedom of speech of the people involved was a heckler's was unconstitutional of blatant violation. And here's kind of the kicker. My free speech lawyer friend and I are literally the only two people fighting this right now. He went to the ACLU, and the ACLU declined the case. They said they were the ones in Charlottesville who got the permit back, so they're getting a lot of heat over that, and they don't want to take on something else. I've reached out to some other groups. There's the ACLJ, there's Institute for Justice. They didn't seem too keen on it, but Judicial Watch, I've got to call into them as well. So I'm hoping here, but I mean, literally right now, it's me and a progressive socialist Bernie Sanders supporter who are agreeing to fight this thing. And I don't know if I do have any more time, but I want to leave you with a video that I see this as like the most amazing thing I've ever seen. It's him, it's my friend Ronaldo in the back of a police transport with his Bernie Sanders supporter shirt on. And he was the only one who got any press about fearing for his life because he was a progressive. And the title of the Boston Herald thing said, "Progressive feared for his life." So he was the only one who's allowed to have this message. But this is his message from the back of the police transport as he was being evacuated.
I'm Ronaldo Delgado, and I have a Bernie Sanders progressive career. The stage like you. I'm about the most left-wing guy there is, but I believe in your right to speak. The anti-plot theory is that basically they can stop down Sanders before he gets going, and the reason
it is on YouTube, that video. I've seen it.
First of all, there were lots of communists fighting them, fascists, and they've lost the war of ideas and have won an election, even with war of ideas. And what they're doing is attacking people for being violent. They cost $100,000 in Berkeley. You had Milo to speak, and black guys even uttered this stuff for example. It's very important that we have the right to speak. And what's ironic is in a case called Hitler in 1925. Brandeis and Owenswood had dissent. They basically said, unless you're starting a riot, if there's immediate danger, you should speak. The majority said no. They actually stopped the anarchists, the socialists, people on their side. And then, you know, and I don't want to speak long about the Democratic language, but Martin Luther King's last speech, the Mountain Time speech, he was talking about an injunction that went against them. They were stopping speaking because they said it was causing riots, it was causing violence, and it would cost too much money. The very same things right now. That's why, you know, this is extremely important for democratic discourse. Even with us speaks, it's got to happen. Because you think somebody's going to cheer you or you have to break the punchline, it doesn't mean you should shut down the rally. They had a Facebook page, event page, 11,000 people voted, you know, like quote unquote, said they're going to shut down the rally. They said they want to shut down the rally. That Facebook page said, as you said, it's actually accountable. People sign that. I have no problem with counter speech, but when you shut people down, when you don't allow them to speak, I couldn't get in the rally.
So this is. Okay, that is up on YouTube. You can go to my channel. My name is Brandom Navom. Go to my channel. You can see it. You can also see it from, I have a GoFundMe up, GoFundMe/NAVOM. And we're also getting a Facebook group, which Patrick has, where we are trying to get all of the people who actually attended, and we actually need witness statements from people who were very specifically denied entry. We had people who said they asked for safe passage for the crowd, they were denied. So we need those affidavits from those specific people. And we need a big group like Judicial Watch or ACLJ to come in and backstop this legal action. So, I mean, this is up to you, Boston. I did everything I possibly could within my power to try to fight for liberty, to fight for freedom of speech. Now it's your turn. I hope you guys will join me in this fight.
Excuse me, so you didn't have anybody arranged ahead of time to videotape the event, except the socialists?
This was happened in after the event as they were being evacuated. There were people who worked, but they were all banned. All the media, anybody who even has a cell phone. Shiva, they wouldn't even let Shiva bring in his laptop because they thought he could record on that. The only
Why didn't they
reason...
want to record it? You have a right to record that.
Yes, this is the point.
Public event.
This is the point. If they didn't want it recorded because they didn't want public support to shift away from their narrative that these were all Nazis.
Okay,
Mayor Boston.
we have to move on. I only have one question.
A lawsuit.
Okay. If you were not an activist, if you did not necessarily just watch the Boston Globe and believe them, what you saw was a list of speakers that was, to say the least, a little bit ripe. There were white supremacists and eugenicists on that list. That's what generated, if you read, for instance, a not very friendly article in the Weekly Standard, that's what they tend to lean on.
Yeah. So, you know, it was a broad group with differing opinions. That's what you get in a free speech rally. Everybody forgets about the brown-skinned man, about the Occupy Wall Street activists. I don't agree with anything they've said. Now, as far as some of the things that have been brought up, I say cite your source, and a lot of these people can't even find a source. They mentioned somebody who said something perhaps about possibly questioning if the Holocaust, if that number was actually 6 million people. But he said this after he had already agreed to speak and after I had agreed to speak. So nobody even knew that he had even...
Typically we heard about these people after they had already bowed out. So there was this weirdo from Florida, for instance.
Yeah, that's the guy. And he said those words after he had already agreed to speak.
So you didn't know.
But there was a lot of things. They were connecting us with Gavin. Gavin McInnes did not speak in Charlottesville. The Proud Boys, they said, the Proud Boys were not down in Charlottesville. They denounced that event before it even happened, and Gavin pulled out way before it even happened. So a lot of these associations, you know, it's this 6 degrees of David Duke. It's associations of associations of associations of associations.
By the way, and now I'm going to close this. I suddenly remembered something that happened 25 years ago, which was I heard David Duke speak in Boston. Who hosted him? The Ford Hall Forum. I heard David Duke. Well, I know they were playing a certain game, which the conservatives in my crowd disagreed with. Nevertheless, I went to hear David Duke at the Old South Meeting House, sponsored by the Ford Hall Forum. And that was maybe 20, maybe 25 years ago.
So